Welcome to Deweyville. Stephen Sherrill with you here on Therapy Thursday. We welcome in Dr. Nicki Monty. Good morning, Dr. Nicki. How are you?
I'm great. I cannot find an opening like hi, hey,
You
whoa,
know,
ah.
it's so funny that you say that because so here that is one of the few things over 31 years in radio that I find awkward, that I almost say the exact same words out of every commercial break. They call it a crutch, but I almost will always say, "Hey, Stephen Sherrill hanging out with you. Welcome to Deweyville." Like
Yeah.
it's always the same things over and over and over again, and it's the same thing with because I always say to you like, "Oh, how are you?" It's almost the same. Like what are you gonna say? I'm
Well,
pretty
I
crappy.
could, I
Let's
could,
start there.
Right.
well, I could start with how am I, and then I could tell you. But these days I'm so friggin' happy and joyful, and I'm in a new learning curve about some things, which always pumps me up. All my
Mhm.
synapses are on fire, and it's so unexpected. It's so unexpected. I'm learning all these things about how to do social media myself. I'm not outsourcing, and it is the learning curve is bizarre at the beginning for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not intuitive, to me,
Yeah.
but I'm having a lot of fun, and I couldn't be more surprised about that. Could not, doesn't matter. I mean, of course, I scream and get mad and do all the things, but but mostly I'm just, wow, this is really fun. I can't
Mm-hmm.
wait to know what I'm really, really doing. I'm creating these, I'm creating TikToks and whatever, Instagrams.
Mm-hmm.
And the other day I was doing one, and it involves angles and things. And I was doing this video. First time I did this thing by myself, I had this special hooky thing that I was doing, and I was outside walking and trying to do this thing. And the whole thing kept falling. And so the whole video is the ground. You're looking at the ground. That was one.
Yep.
There was this other, then I dropped the phone in the middle. And then when I picked it up, all kinds of other voices were on it. I had no idea how to make it stop. Anyway,
Mm-hmm. I
it's
love
very,
I love doing our social media, but it could easily turn into a full-time job.
oh, yeah.
You could just keep
Oh,
going and
yeah.
going and going. Yep.
Well, it is now. I made a video I liked. It took me like 2 hours to edit it. It's supposed to
Mhm.
take 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Okay. But the thing is that when you're doing one thing, you're learning a new thing that's challenging. And
Mhm.
I love that. I love learning new things. And if it's a new thing, it can be challenging. The things I'm never going to try. I shouldn't say never, it's a bad word, but it's probably not on my list.
Mhm.
I don't know, new math or something.
Mhm.
Anyway, when you learn something new, it lights you up, and then other things, because I'm a creative, other things start popping off.
Mhm.
And there's this joy that happens if I'm sitting around going, oh, my life sucks.
Mhm.
Because it doesn't. But even if it did,
Mhm.
for a moment here and there, it doesn't help to bemoan it or take an attitude. You know what I always say, which is the best healer of all is the attitude of gratitude. And what are we learning from this experiences, which was where we stopped, I think, last time, or what your question is,
Well,
Sharon.
okay. So here, and we have a question that we had written down, but I want to off track of what you were just talking about, because I do think about it sometimes after we're off the air. So I I get the idea of have an attitude of gratitude. I'm extremely thankful for so many things that I have each and every day. Is is there any healthiness to going through the bad, not wallowing, but experiencing the bad? What's the
Absolutely.
healthiness, and what's the I know it's not cut and dry, but what's the right amount? Like, how do because we all have to. I mean, you lost a husband, you have to grieve that. It's not like tomorrow we have a celebration and get happy about it. There's times when when people are like, well, that happened for a reason. Now just enjoy. And it's like, okay, but I think I have to go
Oh
to the
yeah, but
car
that's not.
for a
Yeah,
minute,
you're right.
you
No,
know?
you have to hang up. By the way, I didn't lose my husband. He's not luggage. He died. Okay, so yes, so there's a grieving process and all of that, and there's no question about it. But how? So let's go back to the simpler version of this,
Yeah,
which is
like what to
because
deal
grief
with.
is
Yeah.
a long conversation. The I have. It doesn't mean I don't get mad in the moment or get like, damn it, damn that universe or whatever
Mhm.
I do. But and when I'm even in the rough times, I try to go to gratitude. That's not the I'm not jumping on the good ship lollipop, you know. I'm saying, okay, this is rough. What am I learning from this? I feel so knotted up and sad about this. What am I trying to what is this, what's the lesson of this irritation, this anger, this grief, this fear? What is it teaching me? So I have an overarching attitude of gratitude for all the things that happen, the good, the bad, the dark and the light, uh, the all the wholeness of it. I was talking to a guy yesterday. I was saying, look, he's I hate her. I'll never like her again. His wife, they're getting divorced. I hate her. And I said, I'm so mad at her. I feel so betrayed. I feel so this. And I said, yeah, and so therefore I'm done. And I always say, I'm done until I'm not. I'm grateful until I have a moment of ingratitude, right? It's not like I lock into a feeling and I think that's forever, because everything passes. The appreciation passes, the lack of appreciation passes. The idea is, how can you keep your view on the whole picture? How can you remember that though you're looking right now at the half empty glass, there is still a half full glass there? There has to be, or there couldn't be a half empty, right? There's still an up when there's a down. There's still a down when there's an up. So he says, he'll say something like, I'm never going to yell at her again. And I say, until you do.
Mhm.
Well, I'm very, even keeled, until you're not. you know I'm so, this is the best day ever, until it isn't. Yeah. So that we just keep our perspective into both. Now go back to gratitude. I'm grateful to have that whole view. I'm grateful to know that most things are basically in comparison with each other. I know joy as a relationship to sadness. I know prosperity as a relationship to lack. Otherwise, everything's just this. People want what, nirvana? Yuck. Nirvana? No. Nirvana is just it's flatlining. So a
Well,
long time.
that's why I brought it up, because I thought, I think sometimes people would listen to our show and think, well, you know, am I in the wrong for feeling like upset right now? Am I in the
Not
wrong
at
for being
all.
sad right now? And I think, you know, and I don't want to paint with a broad brush, but I think a lot of younger people right now think as soon as they're sad, that means they're in depression. That
Oh,
we're
I
not
know.
allowed anymore to
Or
feel
negative,
sad
or they're
or be
being
negative,
negative.
right?
Yeah.
That we're not allowed to feel those things anymore. And and to have
Right. I know.
sadness, it doesn't mean, like you're saying, it's not a permanent state of being to be sad or to miss someone or to miss a
Yeah,
thing.
of course. And yes, well said. No, and that is a lot of young people. And I think some of that is that most people are living a what I like to call a Facebook life, you
Yes.
know, that it's all filtered and it's all, oh, look at, oh, she's making $1 billion and she's 12.
Right, right.
So I guess I'm 17. My life is over,
Right, that we're
Um,
comparing ourselves to the Facebook, like we're comparing like that perfect couple that we see all their pictures are all smiley and happy at Disneyland. We're
Right. As
we're
if that
seeing
doesn't
that.
cost money, as if you don't, have a bad day even at Disneyland,
Right.
as if your kids never cry, as if they're not cranky,
Yeah, as if you don't wish you
Yeah.
didn't have them once in a while. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, I know. It's this thing about, and I think I don't. This may not be true, but there's certainly a section of what we're calling the young people, which for me is anybody under 50. But never mind.
Listen, we have a
But I
rule on this show. We have a rule on this show.
No.
If we say 30 years ago, we mean the 70s. If we say that's 30 years ago, we mean the 70s.
And do not remind us of the truth.
Right.
I went into a yoga store and I was signing up for this. The little program so you can get points or whatever. And so she says, "And what's your year of birth?" I said, "Oh, please, we don't do that." I don't, I just say, what is it I used to say? Well seasoned, right?
So,
My year service is well seasoned. And she said, "Well, I'll just put something down." I said, "Okay, what are you putting down?" She puts born 2000. I said, "Works for me."
sure, why not? Yeah. Mhm.
Date of birth 2000. I'm like, what are they going to get? The yogurt police are coming to tell me.
Right.
So anyway, but there is a section, I think, that there is a lack of true curiosity and seeking discovery process. I want to be where I'm going. I want to have the family. I want to have the love. I want to have the one. By the way, there is no one. There are many, right? I mean, what if the one lived in India and you never went to India? I mean, it's just crazy. No, there's many. So, but I have to find the job. I have to really, baby, your job's going to change a lot in the next decades. Just simmer down. Figure out what moves you. Figure out what makes you feel alive, and all kinds of other successes will follow. But there seems to be a lack of curiosity. There's a lack of desire to get bigger inside more and more. And that may just be, I just may be making that up. Mm-hmm. But it seems like the evidence for me is, it's this thing about looking at the social media, the algorithms, right? You can't go over a minute or something because people lose interest in a minute. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you can hold them for 60 seconds, you've done a good job. Mm-hmm. Really? Wow. Mm-hmm. As I always say, it takes me 60 seconds to say my full name. Yeah, I've had a lot of marriages. And I was adopted. There's a lot of names in there.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a very much so, get to it now, get to it quick with our lives, with time, with different things. So,
well, and I love to tell my daughter when she asks, because she'll be like, "Oh, this was such a hard day. I just wish it would flow more evenly." And I say, "Why? What do you think you're going to gain from that?" I said, "If there's anything I can tell you about my life, it looks like an EKG after somebody's gone rah." Okay, like the EKG during Scream 4. Okay, yeah. And I said, I have no interest in being flatlined, or not feel the bumps. And like you said, when I was talking about my oldest daughter, and I said, my job is the pain police. It's like to be there before she could experience pain and ward it off. And I remember you saying to me, "Says who?" Like, what lessons did you learn when your life was going about and nothing,
right?
You didn't fail or anything like that. Yeah. So, I try to tell her it's for a minute.
Right.
And it's not comfortable by far. Right. Don't get comfortable there. Like when you've hurt yourself, it does feel like the end of the world sometimes. It's not. And you're there for a time to learn your lessons and then get up, dust off, and be done. but carry the lessons with you, because if you don't, you're just going to do it
Well,
again.
that's the thing. You don't want to drop them off the end of the pier the minute you have them. I was telling
Right.
somebody yesterday, I said, look, he said, well, how do I know when such and whatever it was? And I said, well, in terms of change, if it's uncomfortable, go there. That's your flag.
Mhm.
I'm uncomfortable.
Mhm.
Good. That's when you go down deep.
Right.
And so we never grow from a place of comfort. And the thing is, I'm not sure that growing is so promoted anymore. But I'm promoting it. You're promoting it. Other people are promoting it. So it depends. People will find the teachers that will help them with what they're doing. But this Facebook life is not helping us.
Now along those lines, I think some of that comes into what our question was going to be for today, and I think in that comparison, we find ourselves beating ourselves up. That we make a mistake, oh, I'm so stupid. Oh,
Right.
I'm such a moron for doing that.
Right.
I think sometimes we tend to talk meaner to ourselves than we ever would to another human being's face.
1,000%.
Yeah, that's a fact.
1,000%. We abandon ourselves better than anybody can abandon us. We criticize ourselves better than anybody can criticize us. We underestimate ourselves more than other people underestimate us. Oh, absolutely, 1,000%. And that's one of the sort of the first rules of change, is that you take contrary action. You do it differently. You do the opposite of that. But going back to the payoff thing that was, lingering, that we talked a little bit in advance of coming on air, is that what's the payoff of doing that?
Right.
So the payoff isn't a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a thing, right? It's just a thing. The payoff of talking badly to yourself, for instance, is that you are reinforcing early ideas that you made assumptions about your value and your worthwhileness and your capacity and your enoughness and your lovability and all of those things. These are assumptions you made based on the evidence you had around you in your life, whether it was at school or it was at home, probably at home, and then amplified at school, or whether it was looking at the world or compare and despair now on social media. You made these assumptions about your value, and you are doubling down on that every time you say, oh, you're so stupid, right? To yourself. And why would you do that? Well, there's what happens if you don't. Oh my goodness, I'm going to become a big whole prosperous or whatever it is person, or I'm going to have to really dive into love. If I stop thinking, oh, love is suspicious, I better stay, gird my loins here a little bit more, a little bit longer. I'm not going to get emotionally intimate. Go away. And I'm not going to do any of that, because then I'm going to live a bigger life. And, I don't think I'm capable of that. Or what if I really start believing that abundance is right around the corner, or that love is the way to go? And then I get hurt again. Oh, I won't be able to survive that, which is an idea, not a truth. Of course you'll survive it. We do. We are survivors. We're very resilient. It's like, dropping the key. You go, oh, man, I have to be so careful. I have to be so careful. And you drop the kid, and the kid, it's like, oh, you're a little more resilient than I thought. You're so little. I thought something would happen, but it didn't. So I'm not saying we should test this with children and throw them off.
No, but okay. So before we go, because I'm not following, and I'm
okay.
I'm not following what me calling
What's
myself.
the payoff? The payoff. What happens?
How that keeps me from like
let's
that.
Do this. Let's do this simply. When you tell yourself you're stupid, what happens out of that experience for you?
I don't. Punishment, I guess. It's
punishment.
It's almost like It's all for me. I guess it's almost like a force yourself to learn the lesson to not do this again, and that's like how I was.
No,
like how
that's not at all what you're doing. That's not at all what you're doing when you talk meanly to yourself.
Okay.
If you're forcing yourself to learn a lesson, you just redo the thing until you're not making mistakes with it. But you're not mean to yourself along the way. So let's try again. When you tell yourself you're stupid, what happens?
Can I go?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
small girl in the front row.
Yeah.
Yes.
You he
Go ahead,
is
game show. Yeah.
da, 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 da. No, he lets himself off the hook so that the expectation goes lower. So that
Excellent.
so
Excellent.
then his partner or somebody else has to pick up the slack.
Well, that's what
Or
somebody else
80%.
decides to do. But
Yeah.
okay. So somebody else has, but he's been doing that when he didn't have a partner and there was nobody to pick up the slack. So that it's
Mhm.
bigger than that. Okay.
Yeah.
That's just what the partner does.
Got it.
This mysterious, mythical,
Right.
wherever they are
Wherever
partner.
she is.
Okay, I don't like
okay.
this game anymore.
So
I don't want to play.
so say it again. Say it again, Cheryl. When
I don't
that
like this.
happens,
Boy, was I stupid. I'm so stupid for bringing this up. I'm so stupid. No.
he lets himself off the hook. And what do you let off? Do you agree with that to some degree, Steve? You let yourself off the hook, or do you put yourself on the hook, or both?
I don't know. I thought I was spot on with the punishment thing, so I don't know what to think.
Okay, but
You know,
if
I don't
it's
know.
punishment,
You
it's
know?
where you went with the punishment, because you said, and then I take the lesson, and that's not
Yeah.
true.
Okay.
You
All right.
okay, so you get to be punishing. That's another description of it. And what do you get out of punishing yourself? What's the payoff? What
I don't
happens
know.
in your life? What happens in your life?
Nothing. I don't know. I mean, you know.
Okay, so greatness to you, I believe, is unachievable despite the fact that you're one of the greatest human beings I know.
Ooh.
So
Well, thanks.
what you do then is you set it up so that if you hit here, nobody expected anything out of you anyway. So,
Okay. Because if everybody, if you go to greatness, if you embrace your highest and best, whatever that is, and you're joyful and content and all these things, what do you imagine that will happen as a result of that? Don't think, just answer quick.
I don't even understand the question. What will happen if I have greatness? What will happen if I have joy?
Yeah, if you're
I'll be happy.
if you will, are you sure? Okay. So, and what does that mean? What does that look like? What do great people, what are their lives like? These great, happy, successful people, what are their lives like? In your fantasy.
Less stressful.
Okay. So,
I mean, they not filled with worry.
yeah, that's a lot of negatives, but what is the positive of a successful, joyful person? No.
The joy, just the happiness, like being happy. That's
okay.
That's a prize in itself. I don't understand the question.
That's true. But, and, you come off as very jolly and all these things, but we know that you're stressed all the time. And the payoff of stress, I will tell you right now, the payoff of stress is you don't have to live in this moment.
Okay.
Because it's always about the next moment.
Okay.
The next moment. You're probably happiest when you're on air because you have to be in the moment because you have to listen to what's being said.
Right.
So you can't be wandering off, right? So, but being in the moment is a challenge for most people because, they have all these ideas about but I'm not making a plan, but I'm not getting the thing done, but I'm not on the focus, but things don't ever come out the way I want them to if I'm blah, 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 blah. Right, Cheryl? So, but being in the moment is the greatest joy there is. Being in this moment, being in the sad moment, being in the terrified moment, being in what doesn't matter what the moment is, being in this moment is an enormous relief because we're not all worried about what other people think and we're just right here together in this moment. So, just to think more about that, and your assignment for next week is to think more about, really hang out with it, Steve, and say, what is the payoff of punishing and being self-critical and, and underestimating myself? Because you do that all the time. And if there were not a payoff, you would stop doing it. Everything we do for a reason, whether we know it or not. And when it goes away, when we don't need it anymore, we stop doing it.
Okay.
Okay, so what you want to do is to figure that out. If you can't find it from the evidences in your life, I don't have, I'm not getting very far. I'm not getting as far as I think I should. Well, there's a part of you that doesn't want to get further, or you would not do what you're doing.
Okay.
Right.
So
let's take something simple, and then I got to jump off, okay? And you have to jump off, right?
Yeah.
Here's something simple. Someone's late all the time. Let's say they're always late. No matter what happens, they're late. And of course, it's passive aggressive. People who are waiting for them are always kind of pissed at them, or, just, oh, that's so inconsiderate, because it is, and all these things. And they think, well, I can't, there's always a reason, right? Oh my God, then I had to go back and get this, or things. And then there's somebody, I got a phone call. And then, oh my God, there's this one thing I figured out I had to do, blah, blah, blah. But what is the payoff of being late? One of the things, the payoff of being late is that you are the center of people's world from 10 to 10:20. You were supposed to be there at 10 for 20 minutes. You're the center of their world.
Okay.
Because all they're thinking of is, where are they? Where are they? Where are they? Where are they? I'm looking at a thing, I'm calling, I'm texting, I'm doing all the things, and where are they, right? So you're the center of someone's world. And you can get in there and go, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, you should have seen this and what happened here. And now you get to be apologetic, and they're stuck with their discontent or their anger or their resentment, right? So what is that about for you? Were you not the center of the world as a child? Did you have to, fight for space? Do you think you'll be forgotten altogether if you don't make sure they're forgotten, right? That you're remembered for those 20 minutes. So it's a deep piece, and it's not linear. So somehow you have an attachment to punishment and self-criticism. An idea that if you do that, either you're imitating something you learned early on, or you're thinking that will make you better, which it does not, and actually impedes your growth, and all of those things. But you want to start to look at what am I getting out of this?
All right. I will do that. All right. Well, thank you so much. Visit stucknomore.com/books. And
again, we have conquered the airwaves.
Sure. And go and follow Dr. Nicki on social media, because she's learning all these new things, and she's doing a lot more herself. So you got to go and see it and like it. Go like it. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm going to email you, because I got all kinds of stuff to help you with that side of things. That's the stuff I've been studying for the last couple of years. So I've got all kinds of ideas. So I'll shoot you some ideas. So all right, we'll take a break. We'll be back with more fun here in Deweyville. Stick around.